The president of the River States Entrepreneurs and Investment Forum, Ibifiri Bob Manuel, has called on the Dangote Group to explore setting up its planned $17 billion refinery and fertilizer plant in River State, as proximity to raw materials would make the project more viable. He joined me earlier to make a case for this investment advice. Let's take a look. We're talking about channeling investments into River State.
Exactly.
And looking at the history of that state and the region, it looks like the place is where Nigeria's gold is coming from. And as a result, more and more investment should go that way because we're still getting the flows from there.
Yeah.
But I think the story is very different because we're using a very clear example. The Dangote project, the refinery and petrochemical plant,
and fertilizer plant.
Yes. It's not sited in that region. And I imagine you're making a case that it should be.
Yeah.
Now, tell me why you think that is.
Well, because from your primary economics, it states that it dictates that you should site your projects where your raw material is. Sure. And it's going to save the Dangote Group a whopping $2 billion.
Right.
And if you're converting that in Nigeria, it's about $1 trillion in the apparel market.
Right.
So it's common sense that such an investment should be domiciled where the raw materials are. And going forward, you'd agree with me that the fact that we've not been able to get a lot of these companies to actually do their business where the raw materials are, one, they would have lost a lot of funds as a result of the distance, and they would have failed in their corporate social responsibility to the society. Right. And whenever those basic indices are not met, you find out that such an investment is always at danger. And you ask yourself, why is Nigeria in a recession? These are the underbellies of why we're in the recession.
Right.
Because when you can't extrapolate an investment from where the raw materials are. When you do that, you create a wide range of disenchantment. You give room for alienations and all of that. And right. I think that's why we are where we are today.
Right. I would still like us to look into the reasons why Dangote, for instance, will make that decision. Okay. But I think you make an interesting point about the disenchantment, and I wonder, exactly. Are you saying this perhaps could be a risk for companies that are siting projects outside the region?
Of course.
And taking resources from that region?
Of course. Of course.
What risk do you see for the likes of Dangote? Well,
the risk you could foresee from hindsight is the fact that there'll be a wide range of disenchantment, and obviously, there would be blow-ups. Yeah, there will be blow-ups because these are genuine opportunities that would have created jobs, genuine jobs for Nigerians domiciled in a certain part of the country. And mind you, those set of skilled manpower, they've gone through a whole lot. They've gone through a whole lot.
Help us appreciate what people in the region are going through. I know you're representing entrepreneurs in the region.
Exactly.
Give us a sense of their challenges today.
Well, for an investor, part of our challenges stem from the point of fact that we would have been deprived of our genuine source of livelihood. Of course, if such an investment is in the region, even if I'm not going to do business with them, some of our members obviously will be rendering services to them. So I think that's one. Then on the path of the youths, the people in the region, you find out that the people would have been disenfranchised because you have very skilled manpower that would have gone through various forms of amnesty programs that they would have sent them all around the country, all around the world, and they've been able to distinguish themselves in what they did. And this a genuine opportunity for them to be employed. I mean, we're talking about 150,000 direct employment and indirect employment. That's huge. Right. So if such an opportunity is deprived of them, I mean, you could only imagine what should be the follow-ups.
Right, but here's what I'm hearing. Many people I have spoken to have suggested that the region is not very friendly to business, largely because of security. And obviously everybody knows about the militancy in the region. It's already stigmatizing the whole area. But beyond that, it's not really new, but there is a sense that there's an escalation of issues like kidnapping, intimidation of people who are working by the youth in the area. How do you react to that? What do you tell investors? What is the comfort that you can give them to bring their businesses there?
Well, the comfort I'll give to them is for them to go back and look at the LNG model. Today, LNG Nigeria is the most successful Nigerian investment. Yeah, it's the most successful. And that investment is domiciled right at where the Dangote Group is trying to pipe its raw materials to Lagos. So it beats one's imagination to
and
imagine.
They haven't had any major
Yeah,
challenges.
they've never had any major challenge.
So
and
what is the trick?
And
what are they doing right?
And you have another one that you could follow on, which is Indorama. Indorama used to be EPCL, petrochemical, that was sold off, you know, and today Indorama is doing very well. Indorama is a very profitable investment. They've never had any such issues. Never for once have they had the issue of kidnapping or foreclosure as a result of what you call communal issues and all of that. Right. It's based on the model.
Okay, so what is the model? Help us appreciate what they do right.
The Indorama model states, I mean, the way it's structured, you have 80% for the investors, the core investors. You have 10% for the states. You have 8% for the community. And you have 2% for the workers.
As in they actually own equity in the business.
And the community, the company that owns that, well, the company that warehouses that investment that is bequeathed to the community is called Elano. You know, and you dare not go to Indorama and want to pull a strike or something. They'll mob you down because they have a direct affiliation and a direct leaning to the company. They see the company as part and parcel of what they are, you know, and they see their futures in those companies. So they will go the extra mile to see that you don't succeed. That's why you hardly see a company like Indorama going on strike or anything. So I think these are the issues that we should put forward. This is the model we should put forward. If we put such a model forward, you find out that a whole lot of investments that are going away, not just from the region, from the country. Because it's just a few of them that are coming to Lagos. You understand me? That are leaving this country would ordinarily be in this country and grow our potentials in this country. Right. Because you'll agree with me, in Africa today, we have a huge amount of resources when it comes to human manpower, especially in the oil and gas upstream and downstream.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Fair point you make there, especially when you mentioned the success of Indorama and LNG.
Yeah.
But let's reflect on the Amnesty program, because that has been quite controversial, and and I want us to discuss it in the context of the unemployment in the region. Your view on Amnesty as a solution?
No. Amnesty, I've always kicked against Amnesty. Amnesty was a major failure, and it's still going to be a failure. You know, it beats one's imagination that even today, the federal government is tossing around the carrot of amnesty around in the region. I think it's a major mistake. Right. You can't afford to get to pay somebody a stipend of 60,000 naira, and you expect the person to be accomplished. You know, these are graduates. These are people that are skilled in what they do. So 60,000 naira definitely is not going to quench their taste, you know, for their existence. So what you basically need to do, take away the amnesty. Don't give amnesty to any of them. Give them an opportunity for them to go and express themselves in a proper environment, like a corporate environment, like the companies. Because we've done the statistics. We've carried out statistics that pointed to the fact that most of these boys that were given opportunities to work, they've been able to not just change their story, but they've been able to contribute very positively to the companies where they work, and they've been able to contribute very positively to the security network in the country. So I think we need to go beyond the amnesty phase. We've gone past it. We need to now begin to implement the actualization of the opportunities that we have in the region through the people in the region, and get them to be part and parcel of that project. Yeah.
All right. So you've spoken of successful models of companies like Indorama and Nigeria's LNG.
Yeah.
But we still have that stigma of the militancy, kidnapping, and so forth. What can you what role do you think the state government needs to play in making the state a lot more welcoming? Because these are huge, large-scale projects, but then there are also the SMEs who would want to invest in things like agriculture, and they may feel intimidated by some youth in the region. So what is the message to the state government in terms of how they can make the state a lot more friendly?
Well, the state government definitely need to have to understand the language of business. The governments cut across, not just in the Niger Delta, and cut across the entire country. I think Lagos is doing a very good job, and they could actually look at the Lagos model and see how they could encourage investors and small-scale businesses like the SMEs in attracting such kind of businesses to the states. So I think it cuts across the country. What they need to do is to understand the language of business. Understanding the language of business simply means trying to do the right things at the right time. For the stigma that you just mentioned, I think as an investor that does his business in River State, I've been in River State for a whole lot of years in my life. I think it's not as bad as the way it's put across. Yeah, it's not. We have, in the region, we have our challenges, but it's still a very good place to do your business. Yeah, still a very good place to do your business, especially when you understand your primary responsibility.
But are you saying, for instance, somebody who wants to move from one state into Rivers today, set up an agricultural project, can you assure that person that he won't be intimidated?
Yeah. That's part of what we do at the Investors Forum. We welcome such opportunities. We'll walk through with those kind of opportunities, and we'll see how we could get through the bottlenecks, primary totem problems that they face. And we've recorded more of successes than failures.
That was Ibifiri Bob Manuel, the president of the River State Entrepreneurs and Investment Forum.